different kind of video today. I just wanted to go through without any editing and just kind of go over the patch notes, the upcoming updates, some statistics from Season 0, and just to give my thoughts on everything. Not going to edit down this video, just going to react in the moment and see how it goes. Um, I have taken a look through all this initially. There are, some things I think aren't really going to change a whole lot, some things I think might be pretty impactful, and some interesting looks at the hero statistics. So yeah, let's get right into it. Um, First things first, Captain America's changes. Now, the cooldown reductions are pretty nice. The health increase I don't think is going to be a game changer or anything. I do believe it's going to be kind of minor changes. I don't think this is going to really change his, standing in the meta, just because, I talked about this in my tier list video. Cap is a bit of, cat and pillow hands is what we call him. Um, his damage is what really needs to be looked at, I feel like, not his survivability, because I do think he already has more than enough survivability as it is. The Doctor Strange update, the damage fall off, it's going to be interesting to see, honestly. I feel like it's just going to limit him to be more close range. I don't think it's going to change his place in the meta again, but I do think this will be at least a decent nerf to him. The worst changes, the increase to health, and the immunity control effect is honestly, that one is an interesting one because you have been able to stun him out of his ultimate, and it made it kind of useless, kind of like Wanda's ultimate where you just get stunned out of it constantly. So that change will be nice to see. I do think this will be a decent buff for him, honestly. This nerf to Hulk is honestly nothing. I don't think that's going to do a single thing. The Venom over health gain is going to be kind of nice. I think he's going to have more survivability, more chances to escape from this. The base damage increase, I don't think that's going to be a huge lot, but I don't know the exact Venom breakpoints for damage, so this might be an actually sizable change. I have to look into that more. The Duelist, the Black Panther survivability nerf. This one, honestly, is a little interesting. I do think this will hurt Black Panther's standing a little bit. I think Black Panther mains are going to play a tiny bit more careful. If they get stunned, I think they're going to have a lot less chance of surviving through that. So I think that this might be a good support mains might be happy to see this one. Black Widow's changes. I mean, they're nice to see. Some Jurassic changes, but I've been playing a lot of Black Widow recently. I mean, she's rough. I still think she's incredibly vulnerable to dive even with these changes. I don't think this is going to do anything to change the fact that she's the worst character in the game right now. Hawkeye's change, it seems good, right? Seems like the additional passive damage nerf and the passive, distance change is going to be nice, but like, well, let's be real, this isn't really a nerf. His passive, he's just going to charge up on tanks and just shoot the backline anyway. And the maximum additional damage change, I mean, it goes from 160 damage per shot to 150. That's still 300 to the head. That's still a one-shot crit for really any squishy, so it's not going to change a whole lot. This is probably the most useless nerf I've seen. Hella's damage or Hella's health is not the issue. Whether it's the fact that she just taps the head. So this is kind of useless. I'm gonna be honest here. Magic's change. I mean, this extra damage is gonna be kind of nice, but like, I think her ultimate damage already does a sizable amount. So I mean, I'm happy to see this as a Magic player, but I don't think this is gonna be like anything game changing. Moon Knight's ultimate ability. I think the explosion radius is honestly the bigger one because it's pretty easy to sidestep it now. It might be a little harder to get out of it. The 10 to 14. I wonder if this is just going to make it last longer, or if it's going to be quicker pace as the talons come out. If it is a quicker pace, that might actually be a pretty good change for Moon Knight, make his ultimate a little better to at least get 1 or 2 kills real quickly. If it just increases the length of it, I don't think that's going to change anything. This, nice quality of life change for Namor. I'll take it. The Psylocke change. This one is, kind of interesting because before it would just skip over barriers. Now it actually checks for that. So that's going to be kind of cool to see. I wonder how well this will be for countering Cell Ult. This one, quality of life change. Go for it. Scarlet Witch's change. That the 10 damage per second boost. I think that's a decent bit. I don't think the rest of her changes are really going to do a lot. The 30 to 35 for projectile damage might actually be a sizable change because that's 20 damage for all four extra you're getting. So she might have a bit better burst potential, but I don't think she's going to be changing drastically in the meta. She might get bumped up to like mid-tier character though. Who knows? Storm was in same position as Wanda when it comes to her being kind of bad. The one blade projectile speed, I played a tiny bit of Storm, and it does feel kind of wonky to hit. So the speed increase will be kind of nice. The damage going from 50 to 55, I don't think it's going to change a whole lot. Extra 10 damage from Bolt Rush. This one might be pretty good for finishing off enemies. Getting a little more damage in there. The overhealth change, I think this is a good change, especially since no, I wouldn't say she gets out of roll a lot. She does get killed in it sometimes, but it'll still be good to keep her alive if she does end that ult and you're in the middle of like a Mantis ult or something. So your team didn't die, she would just get melted instantly normally. This one's kind of nice that keep her alive for a little bit and give her some escapability. This Squirrel change I think is actually pretty damn good. It's a good change to make because the squirrels you can honestly just ignore that ultimate whenever it comes out. Now, just now you'll have to actually like pay attention to it. I think the health nerf is a good idea for that, so that you can actually effectively counter it, since it will be tracking you. Everyone knows big Bucky main, so I'm loving to see this. The increased bonus ult, I don't think that's going to be like insanely impactful. The damage from 70 to 75, I don't think that changes any breakpoints. Same with the area damage reduction. I don't think that's going to change any breakpoints, but it will help for a little extra tank damage, especially when you're spamming out with that infinite ammo. The base health, that's going to be nice to see. Give him a lot more survivability when it comes to, especially with his ultimate. So I do like to see that. And then the Wolverine change, the increased base health, 300 to 350. That one's kind of nice. I won't lie. Reduced damage reduction. I don't know how much that's going to affect him, but I think that changed from 300 to 350 will be a really nice buff for Wolverine right there. Cloak and Dagger. That Dagger Storm cooldown. I mean, it's. I don't think it was needed per se. I think her bubble was already fine. You could manage it perfectly well, but hey, it's going to be nice to have it a little more often. That dashes from 3 to 4. That's kind of nuts. I won't lie, because you can cover a lot more area with that. You can double stack multiple times certain areas. Like this change is definitely going to be good for Cloak to push her up a little bit. I mean, she's already, in my opinion, like the third or fourth best support. So she's definitely going to get a nice change with that. I'm glad that they're fixing Jeff's ult because the visual radius on that was kind of wonky. So I'm glad that that's actually getting fixed there. The healing, I don't think that's going to improve his healing at all. I think he's going to be a pretty bad support overall. This, increasing the interval, I don't think that's going to do a whole lot. I mean, her ult's going to still be insane. It's just people can't, just spam the button to switch between damage boost and healing anymore. Oh well. Mantis, this is a pretty big nerf for her because her passive movement speed being 2.5 meters per second is fast. Like, it's hard to hit her when she has that, full passive going. Nerfing it to 1.5, it's going to be a lot easier to kill those, like, flanking mantises just kind of popping shots into you. So I think Mantis mains might suffer a little bit from that. Do I think that's going to change the fact that she's still really good? No, but it'll make her a little bit less of a DPS support. The increased healing for Rocket, I mean, that's kind of nice. Glad to see a little Rocket buff thrown in there. When it comes to the team abilities, I mean, the seasonal bonus changes from 20 to 15%. I do like these changes for both Hawkeye and Hela. I don't think this changes anything from the squishy killing potential. It might for Hela. I have to look at the breakpoints, but for Hawkeye it doesn't. At least for Hawkeye, it'll help with his tank shred. Um, increasing some damage and slow effect for Namor to 125 to 30%. This is a pretty big slow buff. Um, and the damage increases for Namor. I mean, it'll make his turrets a little more of a threat. They're already a little annoying, so it's interesting to see the cooldown decrease. I don't think this needed a nerf or a buff. I mean, but hey, I'll take it. um, this increasing damage projectiles damage. This is rough. I won't lie or not rough. This is good for Magneto Mans, I should say, because it already hurts like hell. I'm gonna be honest, and increasing it by a total of really 10 damage because it's projectile and field spell damage increased. That's gonna hurt a lot if you're not being careful. And then I don't think this is gonna do anything. It's still gonna be a wet noodle. Storm's side of this team ability is just awful. I'm gonna be honest. So that covers every patch note change. Now I do want to take a look at the hero hot list, these percentages, and then we're going to look at specifically console on competitive. We're going to look at Grandmaster because there's some interesting ones. One close. So I do wonder if I don't know if they've said this already. Someone correct me, but if the pick rate is based on total games played or total games played while they're not banned. Because if it's total games played, that makes sense why, for example, I saw, Hawkeye's down here at like 3.06%. My imagine is it's total games played because he's that low, probably because he's just constantly banned, so he's never getting picked. Um, Same with like Hela being down here with 5.26%. So that's what I imagine. I imagine if it was just total games that they were available, that they weren't banned in, this would jump up to like 90% or something. So that's probably why you see Cloak and Dagger at the top because Mantis gets banned sometimes if you're running against Dive or Luna gets banned all the time. So that's probably why they have a bit of a pick rate less. Um, these top ones, I'd say Groot and above. These ones are pretty obvious, honestly. You see these played a lot. First Penny's this high, honestly. Um, Thor a little bit as well. These two tanks I feel like just aren't as good as like Hulk with his team up with Iron Man, but it's interesting to see. When Solo doesn't surprise me. Loki this high really surprises me. I know there's a lot of Loki mains, but I feel like he's really not that good. So I'm kind of surprised to see him this high with a pretty sizable win rate. I won't lie. Um, the rest of these, I kind of expect these guys to be this high. Jeff and Venom being up here over like Wolverine is I'm pretty surprised by Wolverine's pick rate. Honestly, this one's the most surprising for me because Wolverine really does damage the tanks. He shreds them pretty badly, so I'm kind of surprised he's this high or this low. I mean, but the win rate kind of speaks for itself there. And then the rest of these are kind of not shockers. Scarlet Witch, Squirrel Girl, Iron Fist, and Widow. They're all not good. Not at least in the current meta. I will say though that it is pretty interesting to look at the console competitive with Black Widow's at the very bottom. You can see she's never picked. You don't win on her. There's a reason for that. She's pretty awful. Versus if you look at PC and then we go to GM and above, you'll actually see that Black Widow was above Scarlet Witch. And I imagine that's because people can aim a lot better on PC. You have your whole arm to work with rather than just your fingers. So Scarlet Witch is going to suffer a lot more than on console. On console, sometimes it's easy to get some quick kills without having to really aim as close, and there's a lot less, I guess, good aiming. Mantis mains probably is a big part of that, or something like Winter Soldiers or some things like those characters that can help counter those Scarlet Witches. That's why she's a lot higher on console, or on console than on PC. And Black Widow on PC is higher because she can hit headshots a little more consistently than on console. On console, it's a little harder to do that kind of thing, so it's a little harder to dominate with her. So yeah, it's just some interesting differences in statistics here. I'm surprised about how close PC is with console, though. Like most of these are in pretty similar spots between both uh, platforms. So it's kind of interesting. I thought there would be more of a difference. I thought like Spider-Man, for example, would be a little higher on PC than they would on console, but it's cool to see the difference between that. Um, do I think that the patch notes are going to shake up really anything in the meta? No, honestly. I think the meta is going to be more or less the same. Even with the inclusion of Mr. Incredible and Sue, um, I might go into them in a different video. I won't go into like the reveal and everything with it in this one, but I don't think that they're going to shake up the meta very much. I think it's still going to be dominated by either a dive comp or something like Punisher, Bucky, Rocket. But who knows? We'll see if the win rates or pick rates change drastically at all. I do hope that they include like a ban rate as well. I'd love to cross reference to that, and then also see like how statistics are for games that when these characters are available, specifically with like Hela and Hawkeye when they're not banned, what their pick rate is. But yeah, that's pretty much everything. If you enjoyed, make sure to like and subscribe. I'll be, making that Bucky guide soon enough. And yeah, that's pretty much everything.